Hello, my name is Protik Mukhopadhyay. I'm an entrepreneur and an author. I'll be hosting the Reimagine Sales Systems podcast, where I'll be bringing some of the industry thought leaders who will be sharing their go-to-market strategies for their business systems. Today, I have the pleasure of talking with Venkat Ranga. He's the head of business systems at Aryaka Networks, the cloud-first WAN company. We'll hear a little bit about the company and also his journey today. So with that, Venkat, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself to our speakers and talk a little bit about your company?
Hey, thanks, Pratik. It's my pleasure to join you today and then share my journey and my wealth of knowledge with your audience. This is a learning experience, and I'm sure as our discussion, we each of us learned a lot more about us and then our interests and then our experiences. So and again, audience, please feel free to reach both of us and then send us any comments you may have. Certainly, Pratik will give you the pointers on how to reach to us. Just a quick intro about myself. I am Venkat Ranga, little over 2 decades of experience in the Valley, working for a Fortune 500 companies. It's an interestingly, if anyone asks me, my journey is not started like every other is pretty much in the back office. The world of DBA, you probably know about it. Um, it's that's where it started, and I was always curious about the data, and then it could be a sales data, or a marketing data, or a finance data, and then how this is all generated. So I kind of got to a DBA and then get into the more of an integration and business analytics space. Spent a decade also to build the enterprise data warehouses for several big companies in the Valley. That's kind of given me open up to the whole world of analytics. And then, of course, my curiosity never stops there. And then I just moved into an organization where it gave me an opportunity to work directly with the business executives to deliver business solutions which really move the needle. It might be a finance, or it might be a sales, or it might be a renewals, or a marketing, or a service. I got a chance to work at my engagement of 8 years at VMware, spending from finance leadership teams to renewals and the service, as well as a little bit of marketing and then whatnot. So in that process, what really made me aware of two things: knowing the business processes. In finance, you talk about order to cash or procure to pay processes, and then when it comes to sales, you talk about quite a bit of order to cash processes, and then the lead gen into the marketing, and service side, the issue to resolution. So it's just, they are a set of processes, but they are intermingled. The person who kind of got a knowledge of all of these is really make you um, an, a knowledgeable representative for a business, and be in a business to solve the business problems. There is a one thing I have to say: as I'm getting very knowledgeable in these business processes, the industry also evolved. Look back in a decade ago or 2 decades ago, there was no SaaS. It's all the infrastructure. It's all in everything. Every application we talked about is in-house. So we were spending a 50 to 60% of our time to building the application, even before even creating the functionality of the what business needs. There's so much resources have sucked from the IT teams, is pretty much into building those infrastructure. That has changed in the SaaS world. I'm fortunate because when I get into the SaaS world, I don't need to think about the infrastructure. It opened up another 50% of my time to be closer to the business and then understand the business and then deliver the solution to business. So I'm all of a sudden, the SaaS has given me 2x of time to solve the business problem. So that's kind of a way I see it. I love what I do at Aryaka. I run a business technology for Aryaka, and then again, it's a company which I decided to join. Is, if we were to talk about a little bit of Aryaka, is a company of SD-WAN, which everybody knows about it. But these guys, the founders of this company, started a decade ago. So they are the pioneers, to be in a way. But this term is only caught up in the last 3-4 years, but they were the pioneers of this particular technology, and then how do we build it. And especially the Aryaka, the way I see it is, they are really fall between the traditional telcos, which provides the network, and a the net technology, the infrastructure which provided by the other network companies. They you need a both of them to create a connectivity.
Right.
Remember what happens when you have those two, it takes quite a lot of time to put those pieces together to go and then create, enable the connectivity, whichever, whatever your company is planning to do, connect between US to India, or US to, any part of the world. It takes a time. That is where the Aryaka is placed in between.
Mm-hmm.
When you come into the Aryaka platform, you neither deal with the telcos nor deal with your infrastructure providers. You get the connection right at the moment you come on the platform, because we built that framework and it is easy on the go kind of a network. It's as simple as the getting a cell phone plan, to be honest. So they are the pioneers. They have built these systems, and they were coming along. What changed, I would say, around 24 to 36 months ago, that the whole new leadership team came along and then seen the
Mm-hmm.
potential of what this can do to make it to the market. And they certainly has expanded the overall portfolio of services which comes out it. And that's where my value came in. Now a company is poised to grow, and then they are transforming themselves to sell to the customers. But if we don't have an underlying business infrastructure, then you would not be able to do so. So that's where I came in, and then my team came along with it. And now
Mm-hmm.
we have been little over a year. We literally transformed the infrastructure of the business infrastructure and application infrastructure from a backward looking into a real future looking, where we implemented a whole order to cash process,
Mm-hmm.
or many other things. And I'm happy to chat about it. Is really gave an edge for us to move and sell. Hope I kind of gives you what I
Yes.
know myself and then what the company is about. Of course, we are company is not stopping. We are moving into the world of SASE, which is the new area where companies moving towards, and we have a products is even being offered through this platform.
Right. Right. No, Venkat, that was really elaborate and really appreciate
Okay.
the detail. Thanks for sharing your journey to the enterprise world, starting from the back office and the DBA to the VMwares and now to Aryaka, where you have a leadership role. Now, maybe a lot of our listeners are focused on enterprise sales systems, which
Mhm,
probably is a subset of the order to cash process you mentioned. So,
mhm.
if we want to double click, like, can you talk a little bit about your company's go-to-market strategy in terms of direct versus channel, and how does that reflect in your business systems?
Um, so that's a really good question. The go-to-market strategy for Aryaka is all of the above. I mean, we have a direct customers, we have a partners, we have a resellers, we have a distis, we have a,
Mhm.
and we have even have the tight relationships with something like a Alibaba, and where we have a signed partnerships again in terms of the selling this SD-WAN services into the China.
Very
So
interesting.
yeah, and that's not the only one. We do have a prominent and prominent companies in the valley who are placed in the disty roles. We have the relationships with them. We are a company open to do the business with all of these partners. Our
Mhm.
systems are designed. I mean, I would say they were not there in a year ago, but now the efforts we have put in the overall, supporting our business,
Right.
especially the partners. We have started to build our partner portals to engage the content which is needed for partners to sell. That's the big pieces which is we have already established. We have established within internally to, regardless of the partner comes along or the customer comes along, and then how do we code them? What are the prerequisites or the agreements which are already in place, which could enforce the discounting rules in of the new quoting process? Those are all being integrated and then build it into the system. So it's very easy for a quoting process. Again, this whole quoting thing is only a year old. And I would say this is the second quarter we are fully onboarded. The initiative, we took it only starting last of October timeframe, we kicked off, and we were able to really work through within, I would say, the 9 months. We have implemented the whole order to cash process, including the CPQ, at that speed to what is needed, Aryaka, and then we were able to do it. And then I'm happy to say that everything goes through today is through the CPQ or the process which we have built. It
Mm-hmm.
doesn't matter it's a partner code, it doesn't matter it's a direct customer code. Everything goes through that, and we have all the bells and whistles have been configured to reflect the pricing and the orders and the forms to the what customer is expecting or what partner is expecting. So um, the journey has started, and we are way into the maturity of that. And now we are looking at a much more tighter partnership with the partners, because now the how can the partners come and then um, purchase the products directly? What can we do? How do we enable them? Is the discussions we are in, and it, not to mention our products. If I look at when we started a year and a half ago, and then today, our product portfolio has changed, and it is continue to change. So
Mm-hmm.
the go-to marketing strategy about engaging the partners, engaging the customers, and then engaging the strategic alliances and then all happening. While happening, we are also innovating the products, and they are all coming together through this business systems platform. So this is a we are in the crisp of right in the company where company is evolving, and our products are evolving, and our business systems team is right there and at the center of it to make that reality come to.
Very interesting. No, I'm really glad to hear the progress. I know personally, we had some conversations in October, but now that you sort of have completed at least majority of your journey, um, I think implementations tend to go wrong, and they may not have a good outcome like you have. So for folks who are facing challenges, what can you recommendations in terms of best practices? How should they approach a large transformation like you took? What were some of the lessons learned? It'll be very interesting to learn from you, Venkat. Yeah.
What people tend to see is success, but there is so many failures to get there, and there's so many learnings to get there. But over the years, what I have learned is if you want to achieve something, you need to make sure all your partners are in agreement. Fortunately, when I got into the Aryaka, even while going through the interview process in Aryaka, there are few things I have picked up. They had a
Mm-hmm.
vision, they have a clear direction of what they
Mm-hmm.
wanted to do, where they want to take the company. And all the leadership team is behind, on a one key goal, and then they are rallying together. And in the midst of that, given me opportunity to do this CPQ. And it was very interesting when I was in the day one in the meeting. There was an all hands happening, and then CEO was there. And first question came in is, and I just introduced myself, and they said, "When are we doing the CPQ project?" And I was like, "Okay, is it
Right.
that's and it's not coming from a leadership team. It is coming
Right.
from even just a salesperson." So it feels that everybody is ready in the
Mm-hmm.
organization. Then when everybody is ready, it's so easy for us to take it to the
Right.
end because of everybody aligned. So that gave me an edge. And that's the one thing is the commitment from the sales leadership, and then finance, and then on renewals and then whatnot, even execs. The second thing we had to do is to agree on what we wanted to do. I know we wanted to do, this whole transformation,
Right.
but what is the transformation mean to you? What we should do? Um, and and in the journey, we have made few things. Typically, everybody talks about the people, process, technology, and certainly we have gone through, looked at who are the technology implementers, which technology is going to be useful for us, and then we have gone through, selected the technology which works for us, as well as the people who would be coming in and helping into that. And the processes is a very important piece we have looked at. How do we want to mature what the current process is in order to cash, and then how do we want to mature on that? So that
Right.
was another biggest decisions we have to make. And the last and an important thing we had to do is, normally don't talk about, it's less likely happens, is the
Right.
policies.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because of if we do not agree on a policies, and all of a sudden everything can be thrown out the door. So we had to get back into the core and say, what is our policy? The policy of how do we want to do things? Even in terms of the pricing of books, price books, or even in terms of the SKUs, what kind of SKUs we wanted to do, how we want to sell these SKUs, what do we do, what should we do with the legacy SKUs? There's
Right,
always
right,
this SKU proliferation. So we had to spend a good chunk of time to figure it out where we were to where we want. In the new reality, are there any problems? And then we even discussed and what could potentially the problems. And then that might not be a technical solution. It might be a person handling manually, to hop onto the new world. So we had to go through that discussions quite a lot. And the last and an important thing is, of course, during the execution, the way we have executed the project,
right.
we have taken a step by step. We wanted to address the first is the new logos. All the new contracts needs to come on, and we were able to get through that pretty fast. And then we were able to demonstrate to the business, very quickly on a sprint process development to show what's coming in and taking the input. And then we were able to, from October we started, by February we were able to do that. And as we getting to that, then we started talk about the biggest pieces of the puzzle is the amendments and renewals.
Yes,
We
yes.
took up that. There was an extensive number of discussions around how do we do renewals with the legacy contracts and how do we do it. And those are a lot of things went in, a lot of learnings from there. And we were able to execute that by May. So which kind of given as an edge. So I would say that's only the half a battle. Implementing a new solution is a half a battle. The rest of the battle is taking to how the legacy business models would fit into the new business model. If we have not really aligned, then
Right.
that is going to cause the problem. So we had to sit down with the business and then show them what they need to do to get to the legacy into the new model. And most importantly, the biggest piece is the change management. I would emphasize the amount of effort you have to put it in the change management,
Mm-hmm.
because the people who you are talking while executing the defining the
Yes.
policies and processes, only the execs are maybe a level one, minus level one. And but these are not the people who would do day to day, use these systems day to day. There is so many people on the field and CSMs and then RSDs are there in sales ops, and then all of them, they will start to use the system. There is a gap. There is going to be a gap, and it's all about how do you manage their expectations, which they have been so accustomed to do the things in the current way, and then all of a sudden moving them to do things in the new way. If we don't connect the dots, that would be a biggest problem, or the impediment you get to, where product can all of a sudden the effort you put in can go onto the shelf. Um, we were being very strategic on that. We have brought the people in and we have been trained them. We have showed them what it is. And then we also explain to them why it is. The reasons being our product portfolio is changing. So we had to go through a lot of training, walk the walk, not the talk, along with we ended up, walking them, literally showing what needs to be done to get to the other end. That was something is tremendous work. If I were to say, if I would have been a decade ago and then playing the typical IT roles,
Correct.
we would have been failed. Now
Yes.
that, as I said, I moved into a much more of a business technology, owning the business processes to the
Yes.
extent and the closely working with the business. We were anticipating this is happen, and then we were able to train the people and then take it to the other end. Um, Again, the another piece which I would say for our the
Mm-hmm.
listeners, the history. You have to, you know, it's not. I mean, CPQ is in one part of it.
Correct.
Prior to CPQ, you might be doing the sales. I mean, I'm not saying that you are not selling. You were selling through the traditional Salesforce data sets, whatever the objects and an opti and a quote or whatnot.
Right.
But
Right.
now you are all of a sudden you are bringing this whole configure to quote. on configure and price and quote of CPQ model, your underlying data is not in the CPQ structure. So you have to take an enormous effort to move that into a CPQ world. And that is not going to be easy job. You have to spend quite a bit of time to cleanse what you even captured that may not even fit into the current business models or a current sales motion. So that's another piece. So watch out your history conversion and watch out your change management, and you will be a winner.
That's lots of good insights. I
Mhm.
love the fact you stress upon change management. I think we've seen companies focus too much on the technology and the platform selection, but I agree with you that you can have the best technology, but if you don't have adoption, it will fail.
Yes,
What
it
about your
is.
2021 initiatives? I know 2020 was very interesting from a COVID perspective. My guess is SD-WAN probably actually benefited in a way, but like, what are some of the initiatives you see in 2021 as we kind of come out of this pandemic, and how will your business
I
systems
mean,
enable those? Mhm.
so the couple of things I'm looking at, it's interesting even during the 2020,
Right.
as we started to do this whole CPQ implementation, right in the middle of the pandemic. April is when we
Mhm.
went live on a phase one of new logos. May is when we went live with the renewals and then amendments part of it, and then we continue to march through making sure all the changes are in place, which is happening one side, but in parallel we also did revenue recognition. That
Oh
was on
wow.
another project. We did it in parallel too. So that was also released during the pandemic. So to be honest, the first kickoff meeting happened to go and do the RevRec project the day, 2 days before we said no one will be working from home. Sorry, everybody will be working
Everybody
from
working
home.
from home.
The
Right. Right.
decision
Right.
was made. So
Right.
we
Right.
literally, everybody will be working from home, kind of, that was the decision made, 2 days before. We were like, it's a huge project we were undertaking, and how do we do it? But again, I would commend my team, the tenacity, and then the excitement of making this a reality. We were able to execute. So now the big chunk of the projects are out the door in terms of the CPQ and then RevRec. We are already started to work a few things. Our goal is to continue to expand the CPQ capabilities into the new products we are releasing. That's always the case. We will continue to do so. But we
Mhm.
are also stepping, and we are also just about initiated our sales tax project. That is about a taxation of everything.
Mhm.
That's we just got started. I would say my focus will shift into two areas in 2021 where we are putting a stump in the ground. Is one is I want to start looking much closer into ITGC, which is IT governance and controls,
Right.
because now I have established three big pillars, and then with the integration tool of my business technologies, Salesforce and then Zora, as well as a NetSuite.
Mhm.
I want to have a controls around that system, what can be done, who can change, what changed, and then auditability around that. So that's the one focus I am already started to work on. That the team is getting rallied about that, strategic direction or a vision. We are also going to start much deeper look into our business analytics. Right now, we have okay analytics platform, or just reports being built through whatever the manner. But I think the 2021, my goal is to take the efforts what we have put in, and the cleansing data cleansing efforts we have done to make the business to go smooth. Now we want to take it up into a more of an analytics, and then make the organization to be a more of metrics driven. And that's my goal. And I run my team as a metrics driven. And certainly I would like to, even my leadership team is kind of going in the notion of the same. So we will get into that mode, is where I see my efforts will be playing.
That's very interesting, Venkat. We're almost at the end of our conversation. Maybe let us switch gears on uh, professional career advice. So, someone starting their career in IT, who wants to probably become a head of business systems. I don't know, maybe it takes them 10, 15 years. What would you suggest? What should they be thinking? How should they approach their career? Maybe a Salesforce admin, maybe a IT BSA. What would you recommend them?
I mean, so it's a passion.
Mhm.
It's not about, again, I said I started my career in the back office, literally a DBA, and then
Correct.
I got here. It's about the passion. If you are really interested to solve the business problems and look at how you can get close to the business, that's the most important thing. You look at it. It could be a Salesforce, doesn't matter, even a Salesforce developer, as long as you understand what the business is trying to do is what makes the difference. If you are a BA, anyhow you're doing that, that's fine. The idea is not in one business segment. It is about knowing every business segment. Sales, marketing,
Mm-hmm.
business is all about sales, marketing, finance, and then the legal and then all of the aspects of the business. So HR is another part of it, marketing is another. So knowing what makes looks good or successful in that business function through the technology is what makes a difference. I mean, if you can focus and then understand what are those levers, which needed for them to be successful, if you can fill in that gap, you will be there. But have a passion, understand, just you can't be an expert every overnight. To that matter, I would say now I traveled this path and then understood all of this, and then the area where I felt I'm not fully there is the security. The
Mm-hmm.
security has been evolved quite a lot, and then I'm doing right now myself on gaining the knowledge into security, what the security is all about, application security or cloud security, or there's SOC, or there are different things out there. I'm trying to gain the knowledge, so that gives me a full perspective of not only development, and then also what else is missing. You have to know what else is missing, and then how do you gain that knowledge. Be a constant learner. Understand, reach out to industry peers, learn what's going on, and then be there. But you got to have the curiosity. And if I know some of my peers who are focused in only one area, they have grown. I'm
Right.
not saying that they have not grown, but they were in that only. They would not be in a position to talk to the other business segment or a business leader. So be generic,
Mm.
and understand the end to end. Sometimes you may lose the depth, but that's okay. But have that. It's not that you cannot be. Um, only the top level, and then you don't know the bottom. Then that's a problem. You need to be a master in some, but have the essence of other areas would help you. Um, it's just have a curiosity. You be curious and learn and take up all the business projects, and you will be there.
Got it. Got it. No,
It's
this
just
is
a
good.
consciousness. It's just a consciousness.
That's really good insights, Venkat. And I think, as you mentioned, right, be generalist, focus on the business, have a passion. I think that's really insightful for anyone listening in. With that, I would like to thank Venkat for his time. It's been a pleasure listening to him and learning about his journey in the enterprise world, his success at Arkaya, and also now what they're planning to do next year. Venkat, if our speakers and listeners want to reach out to you, what's the best way that they can?
There are many things. Knock on my LinkedIn. It's one of those things very common.
Okay.
I am an active on the LinkedIn, so knock on my LinkedIn, and I'm happy to respond back to you, and in any way I can help you. It's not an issue.
So, with that, I would like to wrap up this podcast. Thank you all for tuning into Reimagine Enterprise Sales Systems. To listen to more exciting podcasts, please visit my website, protikm.com or protikm.com, where you can subscribe to the show in iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcast, and other channels that you follow so that you'll never miss a show.